Welcome back, guys, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different here in that, well, I say a little bit different, but Duels is going to be going on in the background as God intended, but we recently got some pretty big news on the arena front, where they have announced that the NDA will be dropping within a month, which knowing Wizards of the Coast means it will be dropping within 2 months, but yeah, so I kind of wanted to do a video kind of talking about my perspective, my philosophy, and I don't think that's too grandiose a term, my philosophy on Magic as the time stands right now, because the last time I did this was just after Duels died and I was very emotional and the video was terrible, but hey, I just kind of want to give like, I've kind of split this into 3 sections, which is kind of why, in my opinion, of course this is all my opinion, in my opinion, why Paper Magic will never be the biggest game in the world and the biggest problems associated with Paper Magic. Then we're going to transition to where Wizards of the Coast failed with their other digital products. And then we're going to kind of transition to Arena and talk about, hopes and dreams, what I think of it, my thoughts and stuff, bearing in mind that the NDA is still up, so I can only really talk about stuff they talked about on stream, and I can't really go too into the juicy stuff, but yeah. I kind of thought, well, and in the background we're just going to be playing some games. I'm going to be playing terribly because I've tried this video like 4 times now, and it's very hard to articulate your thoughts in a non-rambly way while playing simultaneously the best Magic of your life. So, yeah, don't really pay too much attention to the gameplay. It exists in the background. Anyway, so for me, my perspective, the biggest problems in Paper Magic, why it's never going to be big with, it's never going to be like a AAA title-sized, huge conglomerate kind of thing. And numero 1 on that list for me is quite simple, the economy. And this is one of the reasons I've never transitioned into Paper Magic myself, and I've also had very little desire to. The game's just too expensive. It really is that simple. And I wish there was like some way like sugarcoat to go too much into detail, but you could realistically, if you wanted to buy a top tier standard or modern deck, or hell even if you want to go further back in time to limited or vintage or legacy or whatever, you could buy like the brand new games console plus like maybe one or even a couple of AAA titles alongside it, and it's very, very hard to justify spending that much money on a deck that's going to rotate, or you could get bored of it. There's so many different factors, and that's number 1 on my list, is that it's too expensive for me. I've got no desire to spend that much money in a game, and I've played more Magic than most. I've played well over 1,500 hours of Magic, and that's not even including all the videos, streams, etc. I've watched. So I can't justify it. It's really that simple. The game is just very, very expensive, and yeah. So it's one of these things, though. It's very difficult from a Wizards of the Coast perspective as well for how to solve this issue, in the fact that, like, I know you can play budget and I know you can play like different formats that are cheaper and stuff, but one of my biggest enjoyments in Magic is playing a wide variety of decks, and I like to play the best cards in that deck. I mean, I'll play janky stuff, but I like to play everything I want to play, if you know what I mean. And so that's why budget doesn't work for me. That's why buying a single deck doesn't work for me. I'll get bored. I'll play it. I'll have fun, but then I'll get bored of it. And I think that's kind of one of the, like I said, I think that's kind of one of the. That for me fundamentally is the biggest problem with Paper Magic. It's too expensive. Now, problem numero 2 I've got with Paper Magic is, and also bear in mind this is also why I think the game struggles with new players as well. Like, if you tell a new player, yeah, you're gonna have to tell them that like Scarab God is £50 or whatever, they're just going, okay, I'll find a different game, thanks. And yeah, but number 2 on this list is complexity. Magic's biggest strength is also one of its biggest weaknesses. This game has so much depth and decisions and wild and weird interactions, but for a new player, they're just not going to keep up with it, basically. It's quite simple as that, really. If you showed someone who was new to Magic Hearthstone, someone who's new to trading card games, if you showed them something like Hearthstone, I reckon that they'd have a vague idea of what was going on. They'd kind of understand things. But if you did that with like paper, if you did that with paper magic, there's going to be so many questions and there can be so many mistakes. Like they're going to say, you know, what's vigilance, what's a clue, what's investigate, what's you know, what's this symbol do? They'll get fetch basic lands out of the deck to get this every time they tap this guy. You know what I mean? It's just going to be. It's not an eloquent situation basically, and the complexity. It's like I said, it's his biggest strength, and again, it's a very difficult type walk for Wizards of the Coast to walk, in the sense that, I mean, it's very difficult from the walk because if they dumb down the game, they're just going to get rid of all the people who've taken the time to learn the game, and you're going to lose some of that depth. But I don't think anyone would argue that people will look at this game and be turned off by the complexity, really. And yeah, because I mean, it's very, very difficult. You'll make mistakes. You'll play the game wrong for a very long time. And okay, yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I'm just gonna end that again. Again, it's a very difficult title. I'm not even entirely sure Wizards should be doing something about this particular factor. But I just thought I'd bring it up because again, I think it's one of the biggest factors in why the game is not, you know, the biggest. It's not very newcomer friendly. Number 3 on my list is convenience. Paper Magic is, you can't play it whenever you want. You know, you can't play wherever you want. Either you need a very big friends group if you want to play it wherever you want, or you need to go to a local store. And you know, like, I think it's a lot different in America. I think there's more stores in America, but like, I live in a fairly reasonably sized city over here. And we don't have a single game store, not one. And yeah, we don't have a single store in the city, and the nearest city is like, you know, 10 miles away or whatever. It's not the end of the world, but you know, you've got to play whenever the store is particularly hosting your format. You know, it's one of them things that's just, you've got to, because of the convenience, you can't, you know, you've got to go out your way if you want to play a game of Magic. And I think that's kind of one of the, like, Friday Night Magic is the biggest Magic event, but you don't get to play that whenever you want. You have to, you know, wait for specific times and stuff. And I just think convenience is another big factor for some of the problems with Magic, really. It's very, you can't just play it whenever you want with paper Magic and stuff, and specific times. And if you're like, it's a kind of two-factored, because if you have very little time, it means to play Magic, it means you've probably got, you can't play whenever they're available unless, you know, stars align. But if you've got a lot of time to play Magic, you don't get to play as much Magic as you'd like if you play paper Magic, because again, you're limited by whenever the store is hosting their events. And I think, yeah, so I mean, I'm not even talking about rural people here, you know, like, some people live like 30 miles away from the local store, and you can't ask them to justify going to your nearest GameStop. And yeah, and that kind of transitions us over to paper Magic, where, I mean, not paper Magic, sorry. That kind of transitions us over to digital Magic, and of course, Wizards of the Coast have made several forays into the digital arena, and with Magic the Gathering Online and Duels. And I kind of thought I'd talk about the fact that digital Magic solves a lot of the issues on this list, which I just told you were the problems with paper Magic. First and foremost, convenience. You can play digital Magic whenever you want, wherever you want. You can play for 24 hours straight if you want. You can play at 2 in the morning in the underwear. You can play digital Magic whenever you want, wherever you want, and that is the huge thing. You can play as little or as much as you want. There's no pressure. You don't have to socially interact with people, you know, if you're not so inclined. And I hope our opponent's dead here. But yeah, so I mean, that's just a huge, that's such a huge factor, and nothing to be underestimated, I don't think. I very much enjoyed that. Yeah, so like I said, that kind of completely solves the convenience issue. If they had a solid digital product, convenience is nice. You can play as much or little Magic as you want, and it's fantastic. also it also solves complexity a little bit, you know. It's kind of difficult to. It doesn't like bring it down to so everything makes sense, but if you've got a digital product that works, I'm gonna switch decks here. If you have a digital product that works, then a lot of the decisions and interactions and stuff are taken out of the new player's hands because the game does it for them. It tells them what a +1/+1 counter is. It when you play a land, it shows you what a clue is. It gives you energy, and you learn the game by playing it. And you can play as much as you want, and then you understand interactions. You can talk to people, and they'll tell you, okay, this is how this works and stuff. You won't do anything wrong when you're playing digital Magic because the game doesn't let you do anything wrong. It doesn't let you cheat by accident, and that kind of solves the complexity. I couldn't play this land untapped, and just little things like that. And then eventually people learn how to play the game, and then they learn how the stack works, and they learn, all these complicated stuff, and eventually it solves the complexity of the game. Obviously, Magic's still very complex, but the barrier is a lot lower in digital Magic as compared to paper Magic, in my opinion. And then we move. And then finally you move on to the economy. Now I'll be brutally honest. I don't think digital Magic particularly solves the economy issue, but if they make a good free-to-play model, people can build decks, and things are cheaper digitally than they will be in paper. I mean, you can see that with Magic the Gathering Online. It's still expensive, but it is still a damn sight cheaper than paper Magic. And of course, now with Duels and Arena and stuff being free to play, and I use that with quotation marks, you can build decks. You won't build the best decks immediately, and it will probably take a lot of grinding, but you can build decks as you go, and I think it's a very big factor. So you can see why a digital product is so huge, and I mean, you don't need to look any further than Hearthstone to see how crazy good how crazy popular trading cards games can get. I mean, companies are throwing them out left, right, and center. Digital trading card games. You got Gwent, Shadowverse, all this stuff, hundreds and hundreds of them. Not even to mention all the, just because you can see the market's huge for them. Digital trading card games have never thrived more than they have right now. And then you bring into Wizards of the Coast, and they have an attempt at digital products, and it's just been an absolute clusterfuck. I don't think I don't think a single Magic the Gathering player is happy with Wizards of the Coast's attempts at digital games as things stand right now. And I'm going to kind of go into the problems with the two big ones, Magic the Gathering Online and Magic Duels, and the / Duels, well, the Planeswalker series, I guess. And we're just going to kind of talk about where I think they went wrong and what I think they did right. And let's start off with everyone's favourite, Magic the Gathering Online. And Legend VD, when Duels imploded, you may have noticed that he transitioned over to Magic the Gathering Online, and I think he's doing pretty well over there. And our opponent, I love his deck already. But yeah, Legend transitioned well into Magic the Gathering Online, and that never crossed my mind, not even for a second. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Number one, most importantly, was I was pissed off at Wizards. But number two on the list was quite simply, I don't know how much setup I want to do here. I'm kind of land stuck. I think it's good play KUC. Yeah, so it never transitioned my mind. First and most importantly was because, I just don't, I just didn't enjoy the game. I'm messing this up. Sorry. Okay, stop thinking about the game. I should have played an easier deck. First and importantly was I was pissed off at Wizards of the Coast. Secondly, was because it doesn't appeal to me, because first and foremost, I play Magic to have fun. This is a game to me. I take it seriously. I've played a shit ton of it. I want to do the best I can, but I play this game for fun. And for me, Magic the Gathering Online, it's not a game. It's a Magic simulator, and they sound very similar. But the thing is that the only reason people play MTGO is because it simulates Magic very well. But it's not a game. Magic is so good, it carries how bad Magic the Gathering Online is as a game. Because I mean, it looks like it's from the what on earth? Okay, it looks like it's from 1990 is where it looks like it's from. And it looks terrible. It plays terrible. It's clunky. It's awkward, but it's carried by the fact that it's Magic. I wasn't meant to discard that Fiery Temper, by the way. Yeah, so it looks terrible, and it plays awful. The thing is, like I said, it simulates Magic very well. You know, you've got the rules, you've got all the formats: standard, draft, limited, modern, legacy, vintage, all this stuff. But it doesn't solve the problems really, because it's tried so hard to simulate Magic, it stopped being a game, and I think that's kind of the biggie for me. So yeah. Also, the problem is that the economy is not great either. I mean, to put it bluntly, the game is still expensive, you know? You've still got to look at the stocks and stuff. And like I said, I play a game. Magic is a game to me. I don't want to have to go into that area of Magic, you know? And that's fair enough. Maybe it's just not for me. I mean, it's clearly it's not the most embarrassing platform in the world, because Magic players play it. It's still very popular in Magic the Gathering Online. I'm sure it makes Wizards a lot of money, but, you know, the casual audience, no one looks at Magic the Gathering Online and goes, I want a piece of that, you know? Like, we've even got evidence for this. The Magic Online Championship Series, which is like the biggest event. It's on the level of Pro Tours for Magic Online. And normally a Pro Tour gets around 30,000 viewers, I'd say. I think this event had 6,000 viewers, and that just shows that the casual audience, no one likes Magic the Gathering Online. People tolerate it, and I think that's kind of the thing, as the sirens fly back, because Wizard Police are after me. But yeah, I was meant to do that before end step, oh well. Punished, but yeah, so I think that's the thing. Fundamentally, it's just not a game to me, and that's why I've never been particularly interested in it. And then we'll talk about everyone's favourite digital product, Magic Duels. Now, I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about the negatives, so I thought I'd start with the positives for Duels to kind of keep things interesting. But the positives of Duels, it's cheap, right? It compared to Paper Magic and even Magic the Gathering Online, you can grind this game very easily. It was free to play, but obviously it was very difficult at the start, but you could work on a top tier deck. Like, you know, it wasn't too difficult to build a top tier deck very quickly, and then you could use that to grind and get other cards. It was very generous, I thought, as far as that kind of stuff went, and yeah, so it was cheap, and I think that solved a lot of the problems we had with it. Yeah, I'm playing terribly, but I've accepted that at this point. Yeah, so it was cheap, it was good. And number two, the game looks good. You know, compare it to Magic the Gathering Online, even compare it to Arena. This game looks fantastic. Like, everything's kind of, I mean, it looks like Magic. It looks like Magic digitally, and that's all you can ask for. This is a game, and this is why I put so much time into it, because this clearly looks like a game, and I play a game. So yeah, that's kind of just the simple things. That's why it's the opposite of Magic the Gathering Online in that regards, because it looks good and it's cheap. However, and there's a big however here. Yeah, it's big however. Wizards of the Coast did not support this game, and it very, very clearly showed. This is not a Magic simulator, and that sounds very difficult, because very different, I mean, in the regards that you know, you can't play standard, there's rarity restrictions, you know, there's all this stuff, priority doesn't work, we don't get an upkeep. Lots and lots of things I could talk about this game that show clearly that this is not a Magic simulator. This isn't trying to be Magic, it's trying to be its very, very simplified and basic version of the game. And it's flawed for it. That's why a lot of the pros and a lot of people didn't touch this game or even know it existed. It was because it's not trying to be it's not trying to be Magic, it's trying to be a basic version of Magic. And it was so good at it that's why it worked out in the end, but you can tell very, very clearly that Wizards of the Coast gave up on this product very quickly. And I'm not even exaggerating there. I mean, you can look at all the I could spend decades talking about all the problems with this game. I really could. You know, priority over the Gatewatch expansion delayed, getting rid of right click. You know, I could spend so long talking about the flaws of this game, but I'm not going to, because I've got like 200 videos on this channel. You can very clearly see me talking about all my flaws here, and yeah, and very clearly Wizards of the Coast gave up with this. They did not support Duels, and therefore its flaws were allowed to fester, and hence why the game was kind of flawed. I mean, there's still people now who come into Covert Go Blues stream and go, "What's this game?" Because they've never heard of it, because Wizards just didn't support it, and it was fundamentally flawed because it's not trying to be Magic the Gathering. And overall, I think that cost it. And at the end of the day, I think that's kind of the big thing, was that it cost it. It was not supported. Wizards didn't care about it. As much as we blame Stainless, Wizards very, very clearly gave up with this product quickly. And that's a card I'm very excited to see. Yes, I mean, and that kind of brings us together. To sum up the section I just told you about there, was that Magic Duels is a very good game, but it's not a good Magic simulator. And Magic the Gathering Online is a very good simulator, but it's not a very good game. So that's why they both failed. That's why I think it's fair to say both of them have failed. For the amount of support and effort and stuff, for how good Magic is, these games should be 10 times better than they are. And that transitions us over to Arena. Now, Arena is, obviously, again, I'm going to stress this, it's under NDA, so I can't go too far into details because I don't want to get killed. But from what you can see, is that the game, I consider it a middle ground between these two products, which can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing, because if they get it right, it's going to be perfect, but if they don't get it right, you're going to lose the advantages of one thing, but you'll lose the advantages of both things, but you won't gain the advantage of the other side. So, and that's a thing that comes into play in the fact that, you know, if they make a game it's not as fun as Duels, but it's also not as good as simulator as it's also not as good as a simulator as Magic Online, then the game will probably fail, because people would rather play they'd rather play a better Magic simulator, or they'd rather play a game. And that is something that comes up, and it is something that they need to be very careful when they walk this tightrope. However, I just thought I'd give some general points on Magic Arena, in that so far I feel like the game is supported. They are very clearly they're taking it seriously at this point. You can clearly see that. You know, they're talking to people, they're streaming every week. You know, they're keeping people updated on what they're working on and stuff. That's 10 times more than we ever got for Duels. And so far it's promising in that regards. However, Wizards of the Coast cared about Duels at the start as well, but they very quickly dropped it. So you can't guarantee that the game's going to work forever here. You have to take it with a pinch of salt, but as things stands right now, they do care about this game. And then I'm gonna go into my general feel of the game is that right now the game simulates Magic very well. It doesn't have the formats yet, but it's still beta, so you've got to take things with a pinch of salt. But the game plays Magic very well. The engine is smooth. Things work, you know. Things interact the way that they're meant to interact. You have like with Duels, whenever something happened you weren't sure of, you were never sure if it was a bug or if it was a actual rule thing. In Arena, everything generally works. Bugs are very quickly squashed out and fixed, and that's really all you can ask for at this stage, and it's pretty promising how the game actually plays like Magic's meant to be played. You know, you've got all your phases and all that good stuff. However, this is something I'm kind of conflicted. I don't want to play this deck again, but I guess I'm committed. I don't think the game for me is as fun as Duels is so far, and it's very hard to know how much of that is down to the fact we've only got 2 sets in Arena, and how much of that is down to the fact, you know, I mean, Magic Duels has like 20 sets now. This game has 2, I feel like as a game, it's very, very slight downside to Magic Duels. Like, I think it looks worse than Magic Duels. It's surprising how quickly you get used to the art style of Arena, but I think it looked worse than this game. And then, I don't think it's as fun as this game. So far, anyway, of course. Like, I can tell you some memorable games I've had with Magic, even back in Origins and Battle for Zendikar, where the collections were short. But so far in Arena, it just kind of feels like I'm not really having as many memorable games. Things just happen. And again, it's still beta, it's still very early days, so this could not be wrong, but in a way, my biggest concern for Arena is that it's nailed the Magic Online system where it feels like it's a good simulator of Magic, but I think it's a very slight downgrade of Duels, and it's lost some of the advantages of Duels being fun. And yeah, so it's still early days. When eventually Arena comes out, would I recommend trying it? Absolutely. It's going to be free to play, so you lose nothing by giving it a shot. Do I recommend you spend money on it? Now, that's a very difficult question, because it's different for every person. Everyone has a different amount of money. But for me, overall, I would hold back. And I don't say that because Wizards have fucked up or anything. I say that because it's still inconclusive for me how seriously they're going to take this and how good the game will actually be. It could be another flop, and I don't think I could recommend people to spend money on this without seeing how further it's going to develop, because again, it's still very early days. I meant to discard the fiery temper there. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, so I feel like I've kind of described the problems with them, and I feel like, basically to sum it up, I feel like Arena it's a better game than Magic Online, but I don't think it's a better simulator than Magic Duels, but I don't think it's as good, and I don't think it's as good a game as Duels, and that's a big thing for me. So we will have to see how that develops with time. I'm gonna get rid of you and you. Yeah, so I think that's kind of all I've really got to talk about, so I guess I'll start actually trying to take this game a bit more seriously. Yeah, I've ticked off everything on my list, so yeah, just really, I'm excited for Arena, but I am also tentatively nervous as we beat down mana screwed opponent deck. Let's just run out the Archangel. But yeah, so I mean, I think at this point really, we've kind of discussed everything. I've pleasantly made it through. Sorry if I got a bit rambly in the middle there, but I'd like to know your guys' opinions on where you stand on Arena / Duels / Digital Magic in general. But for me, typically the NDA is going to be lifted right as it's going to be lifted right as Uni starts getting really, really heavy for me. So I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to be playing it, or uploading or anything. But I will be trying to play it and get some games up and stuff. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. So yeah, I mean, I think I've kind of talked about everything, so I'm just going to kind of talk about the game right now. Opponent was mana screwed, but they managed to hit their third land and killed us. So any horrible decisions earlier on in this game are now no longer justified, because we're taking it seriously now. Let's see if he crews. He doesn't crew. Interesting. We're going to discard this land, I think. I guess he was scared of Lightning Axe. I'm going to start making my army of Drakes. We even get to take inventory to draw like 10 cards here. Even play the second Drake Haven. I think I can overrun my opponent with Drakes here. I'm not going to pay this turn, I don't think. That's a good draw. Gonna take inventory now. I should draw a land. I was doomed the minute I said I should draw a land there, but all is well. Whew. That was very stressful. That took a lot of attempts. I just kept rambling a bit. I still think I messed it up a bit here and there, but I'm just gonna commit to this version of the take so far, and we will move on with our lives and play a bit of Magic here. Kill you, discard Haunted Dead, and we're just going to go off next time. I'm going to make a million Drakes. Maybe I should have done it my turn because he could do that. I'm not too bothered though. I still think we're just miles ahead at this point because red-black, unless he's running the sweeper. I mean, the Drake Evans, they can't deal with an enchantment. And we've got a Haunted Dead in our graveyard, so they need graveyard hit and they need it very quickly. I'm just going to instantly pass the turn here. We even have a... We could even be cheeky and Liliana to bring back the Arcfiend of Ifnir to just wipe his board, but we've got so many options, so we're just not going to lose this game. I'm throwing it out there. Our opponent needs like Ob Nixilis or Big Chandra, I think, to win. And even then, the backs are going to be up against it. I don't know. I'm surprised people are still playing vehicles. I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's not really vehicles. It looks like more like red-black artifacts. But we will see how our opponent responds to getting killed very quickly here. I'm assuming they won't attack. Judging how bad they played, they were very cautious around Lightning Axe earlier. So I'm judging they might only attack with a couple of Thopters or something. But, because considering I've got the Drakehaven, they know I've got the things in the graveyard, okay. I'm going to discard you and never make a Drake. I wish I could stack the triggers the other way around so I could Fiery Temper before you can... Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm not even going to use the Fiery Temper. Yes, I am, actually. To kill you. Yeah, so this is one of my favourite decks, and actually was in Duels was this deck, actually. This is very fun to play. Lots of decisions, lots of different ways you can go. You can do lots of fun things with prized amalgams and stuff. And you can kill your opponent very quickly like we are now. Because we're going to just tap out for you. Yeah, things just go off here. We physically can't lose this game at this point, I'll throw it out there. Because you have the key to the city for the instant -1/-1 to his team. And then, yeah, things are fine. This game should be over very quickly. I'm very happy because I'm exhausted. I really am. It took very many attempts to get through this video. I just kept rambling a lot, like I am now. I'm also out of the business because I upload very infrequently now. So it was like, you know, just a disaster after disaster. But hey, we got there. Our opponent is very close to dead. I think they might just be dead next turn. Hey, Chandra's a decent one, I guess. Still think he's dead. 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. Yeah, he has to minus on the Arcfiend, but then we're just still so far ahead. Yeah. If he pluses to kill Liliana, then he's just dead. I mean, like I said, this game was over the minute we started going off. Our opponent needed a little bit faster clock. They did get mana screwed as well, so it's not really their fault. I think if they'd had the draw to pressure us, they could have won this game. King plus the Liliana. Oh, he aims at my face, that's interesting. You can't be blocked. Discard. Never, we don't need it at this point. Drakehaven, -1 to his board. And then just attack for lethal here. He needs Lightning Axe himself, but even that's not going to do it at this point, he's just so far behind. And we get a nice little W here. I can't even remember the results of my games, that's how little I've been paying attention. Nice little fourth take inventory there. Come on, game. Do the dragon click. There we go. And that is Grixis Madness. That is my thoughts on Arena. Like I said, let me know your guys' thoughts and feelings and emotions, and we will go from there. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you later.